Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is going to run again in 2024. I've been saying this since last year. And since November of last year, I've been saying he's going to run again. I am now telling you that it's almost certain he's going to pick Ron DeSantis, and almost certainly Ron DeSantis is all over the news saying, I don't want to run. I don't need to run. It's nonsense. I put the link below in the description. He's doing that because he knows President Trump is going to run, and he knows that he can be vice president. A Trump-DeSantis ticket, if Republicans address certain issues pertaining to legislation, which are constitutional and have already been upheld by the Supreme Court. So hit subscribe to this channel right this second. Tell your friends about this channel. And to my super chat, if you have any thoughts on DeSantis or Trump or what's going on in this country today, your thoughts via super chat, greatly appreciated, or just in the chat room also. But I can't do this without you, so to my super chat, thank you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some people who are, by the way, facing a discrimination case, interestingly enough. They're such hypocrites, it's unbelievable. But anyway, that ticket, a Trump-DeSantis ticket, that would be an unbelievable combination. I saw Trump's interview with Greg Gutfeld on Fox this evening, and that's what Trump needs to do. Like, he needs to, I've been saying that he needs to go on Joe Rogan, he needs to go on Brandon Tatum's show, he needs to go on Tim Pool's show, he needs to go on Anthony Brian Logan's show, he needs to go on, like, this tour, Ben Shapiro, he should. And, like, everybody at the Daily Wire should be interviewing Trump on that show. You're talking about millions upon millions of views throughout the world. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It would be easily 2 to 10 million views within a month, 2 months. Because you're getting 1 million views on Fox News every time he gets interviewed. But you see, that's the thing. Like tonight, when Trump was interviewed, he was calm. It was a great discussion. It wasn't like, it wasn't like some kind of belligerent back and forth. And I think that he should still go on CNN, MSNBC like he did in 2015. But you can't, if you address the legislation, you address issues related to, drastic changes in protocol that were meant to address pandemic-related concerns. Okay, that hopefully, I was gonna say surely we won't have in 3 years, but with the way Democrats try to cling to paranoia and hysteria. You don't know what happens. This is a time in American history where you don't know what's going to take place. We really don't know if the future is going to be worse than it is now. In fact, we probably face greater dilemmas and obstacles in the near future than we've ever faced in recent memory. I'll leave it at that. It wouldn't be difficult for DeSantis and Trump at all. It wouldn't be difficult at all. I mean, you have Kamala Harris now, Vice President Harris, who, what is she known for? What is she, like, she had one job in terms of a responsibility. And then when they asked her, hey, have you visited the border? She said, well, I haven't visited Europe, so what's the difference? And Biden's administration is in complete disarray. We had the worst foreign policy disaster in recent memory since Jimmy Carter. And so the economy, the GDP was revised downwards. So it was supposed to be a 7%. 7% GDP revised downwards to from 7% to 3%. Okay? So it's like every single metric, every single way of looking at life, economically, in terms of foreign policy, Biden's been a complete and utter failure. All Trump has to do is pick a good running mate who stands by him. DeSantis is not Mike Pence. Mike Pence was silent throughout 4 years. Didn't really defend the president. Maybe here and there defended Trump. Every once in a while defended Trump. Every once in a while. Okay? But it's like that would be an absolute amazing combination. Because you couldn't see, this is the thing. Here, an economy that was expected to grow at a sizzling 7% annual pace from July through September is now seen expanding at a more moderate 3% to 3.5% clip. Wall Street forecasts show. This is Market Watch. The economy isn't going to do as well as expected, which is bizarre because we really didn't have a functioning economy last year. So you would think we would have exponential growth, or that our economy would grow at a faster pace. You would think that our economic growth would be, at so much greater a pace than obviously last year, which we didn't have a functioning economy. So a sizzling 7% annual pace is now seen expanding at a more modest 3 to 3.5% clip. So economic forecasts are being revised downwards. You have foreign policy, a disaster that's still, we still have Americans left in Afghanistan. And we are not doing what it takes to bring them home. In fact, bumbling Blinken, his Secretary of State, these people are the people he surrounded himself with are highly educated, extremely polished buffoons and imbeciles. They're completely inept. Completely inept. And so, you have a situation where it's not that difficult. It would not be that difficult for DeSantis to debate Vice President Harris. And you can look, and it's the spike in Florida cases, that's not going to last for 4 years, and they're still 16th or 17th in terms of fatality rate. The highest fatality rates, 4 of the top 6, are Democratic-run states. So, and you look at the unemployment rates. The top 10 unemployment rates are Democratic-run states. Go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You'll find out. So it's not difficult. All Trump has to do is simply coast through the next 3 years, 3.5 years. And I want the country to prosper. I would love for the economy to do well. We had record low unemployment, and they said the sky was falling with Trump. Okay? I would love for the economy to do well. I'm not like this gleeful, petulant, morally superior, wonderful liberal Democratic voter that touches himself in ecstasy when the economy is in the tank or there's a global health crisis that you could just try to pin on a politician you don't like. Like, the more we suffered last year, the greater it was for Democrats online. Oh, yeah, it was all Trump's fault. Oh, my God, it's all your fault, man. And they gave Andrew Cuomo an Emmy, and they promptly took it away a year later. Now we have Andrew Cuomo kicked to the curb, and we have hopefully a recall of Newsom. We'll see if the political machine reacts in the manner it usually does. Dean Diefendorf. Is John Durham even real? We're getting played again. Greetings from Miami. Dean, thank you. Dean, I hope all is well. Dean, thank you so much. I think Durham is waiting for 2022 because he still doesn't have media or political support. The Republican Party isn't really going to back John Durham. And so if he comes out with his report, he might come out with his report next month or 4 months from now or 5 months from now or wait until November of 2022. But when he does come out with this report, which is not difficult, like we know that Trump was set up and framed, you'd have to be a complete, if you are a morally superior, wonderful liberal voter and you think Trump worked with Russia, you're a complete imbecile. Because that is a fabricated hoax that never happened. We have $30 billion in a budget just for the three agencies that said that he might have worked with Russia. They were never confident. They never guaranteed anything. They were only highly to moderately confident. They used a Steele dossier that was literally purchased by his direct political rivals. You have a situation where McCabe was McCabe, Strzok, a whole bunch of people were fired from the FBI. You had Comey, who stated he would be willing to testify against Andrew McCabe. You had Peter Strzok, whose text messages literally say, "We will stop Trump." Like, "we'll stop him" is one of the text messages. It's not that difficult. He already put away government officials, one bureau official in Boston. So, I mean, is Durham going to indict people? Almost certainly, but it's going to be, he already did indict Kleinsmith. But it's going to be, he's going to have to get some political support because he's not going to get any support from media. Any indictment of Comey or Strzok or McCabe or Clapper or Brennan is going to be met with immense resistance. And media is going to go after Durham. They're going to say, oh my God, it's politicized, while they try to politicize, while they have the Southern District of New York politicizing everything pertaining to Trump. They have Trump's tax returns. They found nothing. They have had Trump's tax returns since February of this year. They have found nothing. They've found absolutely nothing. So, Dean, thank you. I know that it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me too, but when you buy a mutual fund, the disclaimer is past performance is not an indication, it doesn't guarantee or is not an indication of future performance. And that goes both ways. Like, just because nothing has taken place in terms of people getting indicted, aside from Kevin Kleinsmith, who, by the way, they're actually looking to charge, from what I've read, they're actually looking to add more charges. So this is just, it usually takes a while for a president to wrestle control of the executive branch or the federal government from his predecessor. With Trump, he never really got a chance to do that. He never really got a chance to have a government, he never really got a chance to run the United States government in the manner that he wanted. To run the country completely or he never got a chance to experience what the presidency is like without endless investigations into nonsense. Like, if you wanted to investigate Biden, there's a lot to investigate. The man is corrupt. We have emails that show his corruption. There are no emails showing Trump's corruption. They say Trump had this assault on the rule of law. They haven't indicted or charged him with anything. They can't. That's the thing, 4 years from, this is the thing. 4 years of Biden and Harris, and Trump is going to rebuild, he's going to regain momentum. He just can't fall for any social media traps. He can't say something that will get them completely even more apoplectic than they usually are. He has to stay off of Twitter. You watch. They're gonna allow him back on Twitter. They're gonna want him back on Twitter. He can't go back. That is the worst, absolute worst. It would be the worst mistake. I don't have a Twitter account. I think everybody should just delete their account. When you get these snarky phrases, delete your account. It's that's actually the best advice you could ever get on Twitter. But I mean, like I say, focus on life, love. Thank you. Dean, thank you. Focus on life, love, happiness, joy. Your health. Focus on success, joy. I keep saying I don't want to be too negative. The economy is going to be it's going to be a tough ride. You're going to have potentially, you could potentially have a market collapse. I'm not predicting anything, okay? I'm not saying anything. You could have a market crash. I mean, this is the Motley Fool. History suggests a stock market crash is likely. 5 data points of concern. Key points. The market has enjoyed a historic rally for the past 17 months, which makes no sense. Does anybody know why the market would rally? Why is the market rallying? Because Biden isn't mean on Twitter? This is based on what? What is this based on? There's been a market rally, but what happens if there's a market crash? Because you're going to have... This is the thing. Democratic Party policies make it difficult for the economy to flourish. This is not I am not speaking in terms of... I'm not using just hyperbolic statements for no reason. Look at the highest unemployment rates. The highest unemployment rates are in blue states. Okay? They're obsessed with... their lives revolve around the pandemic. They don't care about economic growth. Their lives revolve around the pandemic, which Johns Hopkins, you look at the survival rate, and it's above 98% for most. But anyway, we won't even get to that right now. If there's a market crash, we'll still have Afghanistan. We need to get Americans home. What if, God forbid, China invades Taiwan or blockades Taiwan? What if there's a market crash? What if the economy still doesn't rebound in the manner that it should? Do you trust Biden? Do you think that, forget about trust, do you think that Biden is capable? Do you think this man and his bumbling, stumbling group of highly polished and highly educated, extremely polished career bureaucrats, you think these people will get us out of the jam we're in? They caused all of this gleefully, and you watch. They'll do to Fauci what they did to Andrew Cuomo, Michael Avenatti, Jussie Smollett, Eric Schneiderman, the former attorney general, like all of these people who are going after Trump. Like, it never works out. It never works out. Strzok, McCabe, it never works out. You end up getting a GoFundMe, which doesn't get taken down because you're on the left. So this is interesting. History suggests the stock market crash is likely. 5 data points of concern. The market has enjoyed a historic rally for the past 17 months. Why, though? Like, why? The economy is in the tank. So that makes no sense. There's very likely going to be some kind of correction or crash. Stock market crashes and corrections are a normal part of the investing cycle. Historically speaking, being a long-term optimist pays off handsomely. Okay, well, we haven't had mashed potato brains. So bouncing back from a bear market bottom is never smooth. As noted, the index took less than 17 months to double in value from its March 2020 low, but if we examine how the S&P responded the following previous 8 bear markets dating back, you'd see a vastly different story. Following each of the previous 8 bear market bottoms, there was at least one double-digit percentage decline within 3 years. In 5 of the 8 of these bear market bounce-back rallies, there were 2 double-digit declines. Wow. Coming back from whatever pushed the broader market lower by 20% is a process that takes time. It's simply never a straight line higher that we've been blessed with since March 23rd, 2020. What I think Wall Street did was they said, oh, well, you know what? Leanna Conley, good advice. Things are going to swing back, by the way. What's the deal with the market? Does the Fed control it? How manipulated is it? Well, that's... Liana, thank you so very much. I don't think the Fed controls it. I think that what they decide in terms of interest rates affects how Wall Street looks at the overall economy. I think that there's a great deal of groupthink. And, you know, these Wall Street traders or Wall Street firms, they're very influenced by media. So I think that the political establishment in the country was happy or felt that we'd be going in a better, they didn't like Trump. So I think the market rebound had more to do with, there's a different administration and Trump was the end of the world and we'll finally rebound from the global health crisis, which, by the way, you know, it's the same thing all over again, but just with different variations, so to speak. Their lives revolve around, the lives of Democrats and the establishment revolve around the pandemic. They don't revolve around economic growth or addressing any of the concerns of the left like wealth inequality. It's just media and hysteria. And in terms of what runs the market, you would think that the fundamentals of companies and how and whether or not they're valued appropriately would be running the stock market. That isn't always the case. I think that a big part of the market rally was this weight off the shoulders of a lot of people that, there's no more Trump. Now we have a quote-unquote normal administration. Well, we're slowly realizing that Biden and his administration is infinitely worse than the worst day of Trump. So Basically, it's a racket, but you could make money in the long term. In the short term, it's very dangerous. Leanna, thank you. Leanna Conley, thank you. Roger Rabbit, 1996, Island of Dr. Moreau is a proper depiction of the moral scope. The left side of politics is aligned with frightening, alarming. Yes, Roger Rabbit, thank you. Thank you, Roger Rabbit. Greatly appreciated. Yeah, I mean, it's it is, when you look at what took place what could have taken place to create this public health crisis, or this global health crisis, Rand Paul is correct. Rand Paul is correct. And then we have inflation. We haven't gotten to. We'll read about that. Rand Paul is correct that they did create a monster, and the monster might have been let loose inadvertently. Then there's the possibility, which I'm not saying. I mean, you want to say inadvertently, but then what if it was deliberate? So there are a lot of avenues to consider, but you can't really consider them because, I mean, you can consider them, but you really can't talk about. There's no dialogue or debate or discussion because most of media has been leveled against Trump for so long. All they want to do is blame everything on Trump. So he was right, though, that it almost certainly originated from a lab that we partially funded during President Obama's administration. These are facts. They love to get lost in the weeds and then like fact check. It's like, well, the amount of money, whether it was 3.5 million or 600,000. So let's say the 600,000 wasn't all given during President Obama's administration. That doesn't matter. The issue is that the money was allocated during President Obama's administration by Democrats. Okay, a Democratic administration used taxpayer-funded dollars to begin research with our money, to begin research that might have led to a global catastrophe that, in turn, resulted in media and left-leaning politicians everywhere overreacting and engaging in the most draconian, really illegal activity. But what happens is these judges, you tell them this is all the experts say the following. Then the judges are like, oh, okay. But it's like there's even the consensus on a whole lot of things is oftentimes fabricated because anyone who disagrees, whether it's a public health issue or a foreign policy issue, well, mainly a public health issue, anyone who disagrees is marginalized. They're disparaged. And then you have the issue of economic retribution. So dissent is discouraged. Dialogue, debate, discourse you have social media algorithms. They won't even the New York Post's account. Nicoletta, thank you. As always, Nicoletta, thank you so very much. Jeffrey, God bless you. Thank you. Nicoletta, thank you. Nicoletta, thank you so very much. As always, thank you, Nicoletta. Let's go back. Inflation. That's a huge issue. If you're not growing and you're not and you have high unemployment and you keep on they focus more on stimulus payments, which you have to give because you've prevented people from working under the pretext of saving them, which actually makes things worse in terms of health and everything and every other aspect of life. But here, inflation could be an ominous sign. A fourth case for concern is rapidly rising inflation. So then how do you have this market, this rise in the stock market, and then you have inflation as a huge problem. So it could be a whole bunch of things. Earlier this month, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released inflation data from July. This report showed that the consumer price index for all urban consumers rose 5.2% over the past 12 months. That was down ever so slightly from the 5.4% increase in June, which represented more than a 12-year high. We have a 12-year high in prices and a 13-year high in inflation. When the prices rise for the goods and services that people pay for, that business and people pay for, it tends to weigh down economic growth, i.e., business can't buy as much with the same amount of money. What's ominous is how closely related periods of high inflation are to stock market hiccups. So if there's a market crash shortly after the Afghanistan catastrophe, and then, you have other foreign policy issues, the tensions between China and Taiwan are growing, you could have, God forbid, something horrendous happen in the Middle East. I mean, it's like, we don't have a stable presidency. With Trump, it was all media hype. They're like, oh my God, this is a chaotic presidency. Like, no, the media and journalists looked at him as this otherworldly monster. So everything he did was sensationalized, even if you had a great economy and good foreign policy. Trump had great foreign policy and a great economy up until Democrats decided to overreact with this hysterical, counterproductive reaction to a global health crisis. So shutting down the economy did not work. It did not work at all. You can look at the cities and the countries that did that and then compare them to Sweden and other countries that didn't do that. So, Nicoletta, thank you. Nicoletta, thank you so very much. Thank you, Nicoletta. Thank you. But this is interesting. So like I say, like all DeSantis and Trump have to do is just relax. And, I don't want the country to do, I want us to prosper, even with Biden. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'll give Biden credit, like he did one or two good things. Other than that, his presidency has been an absolute catastrophe. An absolute catastrophe. Even the media turned on him. And that's what created him. Like they say Trump was a media creation. He wasn't. He was very good at manipulating or utilizing the media for a long time, up until last year. Then he fell for a gigantic trap. But he was a billionaire. You can't just fake that. Like, the money is real. And, real estate, like you can't just fake certain things. You can't pretend to be a billionaire. And if he's not really a billionaire, I was like, well, okay, then 400 million, 500 million. He's still very wealthy. He's always been very wealthy. They're so petulant. Like the people who have derangement issues, they're so petulant. He's not really a billionaire. Oh, okay, so he has 500 million. It's like, how is that getting at Trump? And you have people who really think, like, you have like people on Twitter who really think that they're making, like, or on social media, they really think they're making Trump's life miserable. They're not making Trump's life miserable. You think he cares? He survived the Mueller probe and 4 years of and completely apoplectic media. You think he cares about the Southern District of New York? You think they know more about real estate than he does? So they have his tax returns. And you don't think he's probably telling his attorneys what to do, Trump, pertaining to real estate. They can't touch him because he wasn't like he didn't commit any illegal activity. Okay? That is like when they say, oh, the rule of law, they fabricate this notion of the rule of law that coincides with their sensibilities. He didn't, if he caused January, if he worked with Putin, if he has all these financial crimes, then why haven't they indicted him? Why haven't they charged him? Because they can't. Because they're making up everything, because they can't stand on their policies. They can't say, oh, vote for us because, our policies are good. You're not going to get Democrats, whether it's AOC or Biden, to say, oh, this policy worked. They're going to complain, or they're going to blame Trump or show outrage about something, or they're going to, they're at the end of the day, they'll say, well, at least it's not Trump. But they're not going to say, hey, we did this good thing, and here's how this helped the economy. So if there's a market crash, Biden will be impeached like the day, obviously being, there's a little hyperbole here, but the day after Republicans are sworn in as, taking over the House, he'll be impeached shortly after. Basically the day after. So, and then you can have numerous impeachments, because the thing is, they went after Trump twice. You go after Biden twice, you'll have actually something to impeach him over. And the Afghanistan debacle is an impeachable offense. More than that, one British high-ranking officer said he should be court-martialed. I don't think you can court-martial a civilian, but you don't leave Americans behind. You never leave Americans behind. The longer that Americans are left there in that country, because bumbling Blinken doesn't know how many Americans have been left. And we have no clue. We have no clue. We have no clue how many Americans are left in Afghanistan. Spoon, hello. So, but let's read this. This is interesting. What's ominous is how closely related periods of high inflation are to stock market hiccups. For example, the last time the inflation rate topped 5%, the U.S. was in the midst of spiraling into the Great Recession. Looking back a bit further, the inflation rate neared 4%. So, wow. Looking back a bit further, the inflation rate neared 4% prior to the dot-com bubble bursting. Wow. And finally, the inflation rate picked up prior to the recession in 1990. And the thing with the Great Recession and the dot-com bubble and the recession in 1990 is that, I remember in 92 and 93, people were going to the malls. There was an immediate, now most Democrats are afraid of their own shadow because of what. And they're engaging in policies that are literally stifling economic growth. Their policies to save people are stifling the future of this country and not working for a number of reasons that we can't talk about. So this is really, really interesting. Really interesting Motley Fool article. What's ominous is how closely related periods of high inflation are to stock market hiccups. For example, the last time the inflation rate topped 5%, the U.S. was in the midst of spiraling into the Great Recession. So the last three market crashes, looking back further, the inflation rate neared 4% prior to the dot-com bubble bursting. So you have the Great Recession. 8 years prior, you had the dot-com bubble. And then about 9 years prior to that, you had a recession that helped. Oh, I remember that. It helped me so much. It got people to take their minds off of my personal life. So Bill Clinton was able to win in large part because there was a recession. So, inflation, you have to ask yourself, why did the market T-bone? Are the left and right trying to flood America now? T-bone. I don't know if I understand the question exactly. Are the left and right trying? I would say never Trump Republicans and Democrats are doing their best to hold on to whatever is left of media. Like, they want public relations more than what's best for the country. So, Irma, hello. T-Bone, thank you. This is interesting. Investors are borrowing. That's usually bad news. The final data point should be a cause for concern. The final data point that should be a cause for concern is margin debt. Getting back to 1929. Margin describes the amount of money investors are borrowing and paying interest on to buy or bet against securities. While not a perfect correlation, rising margin debt has often spelled bad news for the stock market. For example, margin debt jumped approximately sixfold between the 1987 crash bottom and the start of the dot-com recession. Since hitting its bear market low in March 2020, margin debt has practically doubled. Wow. From a bit over $400 billion to $844.3 billion, according to data from the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. Wow. Furthermore, the past two times margin debt jumped at least 60% in a given year came immediately before the dot-com recession, the Great Recession. So, we'll probably have a market crash during Mashed Potato Brain's tenure also. Oladoyan! Olayton, hello! What's up, HA? I'm not one to be pessimistic. If isn't put in jail, we're practically living in a third world country with this level of blatant corruption. I agree with you, Oladoyan. Thank you so very much. Oladoyan, Olayton, thank you so very much. I agree with you on that, Oladoyan. I agree with I don't think. Here's the thing. They're going to take him off his media pedestal. Oladoyan, they're gonna remove him. They're gonna basically Juicy Schmalier him, and they're gonna Andrew Cuomo him, and they're gonna Avenatti him, which means he might not go to jail, but what they'll do is he will be like completely radioactive from a literary sense. Like they won't want anything to do with him. They won't want anything to do with him. So Oladoyan, I agree with you. But that, the perjury issue is, he lied. But right now he has too much support in media and among Democrats and never Trumpers. He did lie. So if you or I did that, it would be curtains. But, no doubt he lied. It's not a doubt that he lied, but what his thing is, you're wrong, Senator Rand. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about, Senator Rand. The more that, Oladoyan, thank you so much. The more information we get, like The Intercept had 900 pages of documents. The more that we realize, we helped fund this monstrosity. And the nuttiest thing about all of this is that we funded this monstrosity to find out how to stop a global pandemic. The road to nowhere is paved with good intentions. So, Oladoyan, thank you so very much. Thank you. There's a chance that, if Republicans continue to go after him in 2022, and they will, there is a chance that you will see perjury charges pushed by Rand Paul and a whole bunch of Republicans. And then media might actually side with them. Some people within media, because Fauci is going to be a political liability to Democrats. I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. So the op-ed will be below, the opinion piece will be below. So Olodoyan, in the court of public opinion, it's not looking good for him in the next year or so, less than a year. Then when Republicans take the House, I mean, it looks even worse. Because you're going to have more FOIA requests, or you're going to have more FOIA documents. So, thank you again, Olodoyan. Thank you. If we have a market crash, could you like, come on, man, stock traders, man, come on, Wall Street, man, come on, man, Merrill Lynch, man, this is all bull, man, come on. Could you imagine? Cornflakes and, hey, listen, man, I remember one time when I was putting lotion on my legs, man, and, pay the Wall Street traders more. A stock market crash is temporary. That's what he'll do. Like, the market will tank, and they'll be like, where's the president? Can we have a address to the nation? And they'll be like, man, my fellow Americans, it's only a temporary crash. The future is bright. Who knows what he'll do? How does he pass the infrastructure bill that will actually decrease GDP after a market crash? How do we get a market crash after we tanked the economy last year? It's like this would not happen with Trump. He wanted to open up the economy last May. And then was like, well, we couldn't, because of what? Could you imagine a stock market crash, and we still have Americans in Afghanistan, and then China invades Taiwan, and they were like, Mr. President, and still, it wouldn't even be half of the, apoplectic nature of the White House press corps. He's like, Biden would be like, it's all in the mind. Calm down. Everything's going to be fine. It's all in the mind. What? The country is descending into madness. Let me tell you something. In Southern California, there are people going to the bathroom in front of supermarkets. When liberal Democrats see this as they take their groceries to their car, they say, at least it's not Trump. No, they say, at least this isn't Trump's tweets. A person could be going to the bathroom on their car. And as they're going to the bathroom on the car of a morally superior liberal Democrat, the man or woman will say, at least this isn't a mean, insulting remark from Trump. And you know what? Go ahead and wipe it all over the car. Let me put my groceries in. Thank you. Have a fantastic day. It's fine. And as the windshield wipers go, and the you know what is all over the windshield, they'll drive happily and say, at least it's not Trump's tweets. Yay. Everything, you understand, it doesn't even, do you understand? They don't even care. Do you understand? They don't even care. T-Bone. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough issue because the manner in which Biden completely messed up. Completely messed up and dropped the ball on the evacuation. It was so rushed. The people who deserve to leave, we have no clue. We still have Americans there. And Trump was right tonight. He would never have left. He would never have left a small number of soldiers to deal with everything, you know? So, but you have to also understand, like, the mentality is like, we can have, I mean, here is the mentality, you know, most people don't, I was a liberal Democrat my whole life. And then a progressive, whatever that word means. Mainly, a progressive is a liberal Democrat that complains and then votes Democrat. So you can, like, the far left, communist, socialist, if you vote, you're going to vote Democrat anyways, it doesn't matter. They're so into, no, man, that's a democratic socialist. That's a certain type of socialist, and no, that's communism. You don't even know the difference. Do you know even the difference? It's like, well, are you going to vote Democrat? Yeah, always, no matter what. Well, then who cares about the nomenclature? Who cares? God. Your Medicare for All plan is not as good as mine. I'm not talking to you anymore. It don't matter. None of it will be passed anyway. So they're like, on the left, they're losing friendships from, like, you know, your Medicare for All plan. No, my Medicare for All plan can beat up your Medicare for All plan. It doesn't matter. They're not passing it in any way. And Biden said it's the one coherent thing he said. He wasn't slurring his speech. He's like, I will veto it. It's the one thing Biden said that he was, like, clear about. Listen to me clearly. I will veto Medicare for All. I'm like, oh my God. He can speak? He's actually coherent. And then he goes back to demonically possessed. So. The bill, ABC TV. A-Chain 2024, I hope all the blue states all turn red and Trump wins big last night. I hope so too. Can I tell you how good it will feel? Oh my God, how good it will feel. Irma, hello. Can I tell you how good it'll feel? To see Trump again. Oh my God. I just want to watch, like, The View, like, the day after he wins again in 2024. Hopefully Republicans address certain legislation, but, like, could you imagine? And the worst thing will be, like, if he's not on Twitter. So they have to actually go to, like, oh, he would have to be on Twitter. Well, would he? He'd have the president's account. Of course they would ban that. Misleading. This is misleading. And then they'll actually make a new disclaimer. This is even more misleading than the last time he was president. Misleading. That's the thing, like, the people who are susceptible to the misinformation Democrats find so egregious don't care what Democrats think about anything. Like the people who are susceptible to this misinformation, they don't believe anything that Democrats or politicians or experts and officials, I don't say anything, but they don't, like, worship these people. So the misinformation is more of a power trip, the whole misinformation thing. People aren't losing their lives because of misinformation. And the people who are losing their lives still vote. Like, the narrative is that if you don't get your information from approved sources, God forbid, you might have an opposing viewpoint. But you can still look at the approved sources and actually formulate an opposing viewpoint. Because, well, if you look at, they're always wrong. So it's not that difficult. The Bill ABC TV, thank you. What's old mashed potato brains doing now? So all you have is like, this is like they're obsessed over this testing, more testing. And can we get economic growth? Quiet! Testing. What about maybe job growth? No, it's testing. Cases, testing, cases. Then the stock market crash, testing cases. What? CNN Biden faces hard truths of the pandemic ahead of major speech. No, it's of the response to the apoplectic, hysterical, paranoid, counterproductive, failed response that continues. The more they fail, the more they feel justified. It's pretty amazing. Joe Biden. Biden Dems push civilian climate corps in echo of New Deal. Oh my God. Well, how does this help anyone? Even Kerry said oh my God, this is, do you understand we're going to have like three market crashes, more foreign policy disasters, but at least we'll have a civilian climate corps. At least we'll have that. Fantastic. Inspired by New Deal era civilian conservation corps. President Joe Biden and congressional Democrats are pushing for a modern counterpart, a civilian climate corps that would create hundreds of thousands of jobs building trails, restoring streams, and helping prevent catastrophic wildfires. It would create hundreds of thousands of jobs. No, it would not. Restoring streams, building trails. You think that the average person who lost his job, they're going to give like a machete and then he's going to like start like romancing the stone and building trails? This is even better than the Green New Deal legislation, which was never passed because they don't even believe that the world's going to end. It's all about a racket. But anyway, climate change is an important issue. It is an important issue. That is true. Look, we're descending into the worst time in American history, but guess what? At least we have a civilian climate corps. And you better believe the Democrats in California are not going to do anything to truly prevent catastrophic wildfires. Like they're not going to do certain things that would actually prevent them. I don't even want to get into it. Building on Biden's oft-repeated comment that when he thinks of climate change, he thinks of jobs. Who cares what he barely thinks? The man barely thinks, so whatever. When I think of climate change, I think of jobs. Oh, so do I. The White House says the $10 billion program would adjust both priorities as young adults find work installing solar panels. You need professional installers. Young adults find work and planting trees. Wow! This is great. We will be all bartering gold and silver for a loaf of bread, but it's all good. Irrigation ditches and boosting outdoor recreation. We don't even outdoor recreation. We still have the pandemic. My God, they won't even allow that. We must seize this opportunity to build a big, bold pathway to critical careers. Critical careers. For a diverse generation of Americans ready to take on this existential crisis. If it's an existential crisis, creating trails and building and restoring streams isn't going to help, but whatever. Sounds good. Says the Deputy White House Climate Advisor. It's a national service meets family supporting careers meets moment. This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God. I've never heard anything better than this. Seize this moment. You know what? I want them to and they should unveil this right during the next market crash. Come on, man. A market tank. So what, man? We have new streams, man. Come on now, man. Come on, cornflakes. We're building new irrigation and streams. This is what will prevent China from becoming number one economically. Building trails and restoring streams. Oh my God. This is fantastic. The threat is here. It's not getting any better. Biden said the question is, can it get worse? So let's see. We have unemployment still at close to 7%, 6 and 7% in 10 Democratic states. Inflation at a 13-year high. Prices increasing at a 12-year high. We still have Americans left in Afghanistan. China might invade Taiwan. We might have a market crash, but we're going to restore trails and build trails and restore streams. This is very good. This is very good. So, I don't see the future as being bright. I see your future, my future, your future should be bright. Focus on love, happiness, life. Like I said, this is 1 hour ago with Trump. Most people don't even know he's being interviewed. 67,000 views. If you added up every one of Biden's appearances on YouTube, 1 hour, 67,000 views. 1 hour. $67,000 views. So it's like 1 hour, 67,000 views. But I have to get back to this because it's kind of this is what they always do, and it's people just start yawning. The urgency of the climate crisis recalls past chapters of national mobilization. No, it doesn't at all. No, it has nothing to do with Victory Gardens or anything like World War II. It has nothing to do. Nothing at all. There are people who believe it's like a religion, which is fine, they're all into it, but they're not passing any legislation. This is public relations. This is all public relations. Apoplectic Lefty, hello. Apoplectic Lefty, thank you. Larry, thank you. Irma, you're wonderful. I think that it's just the emojis are fantastic. YouTube has a thing with too many emojis, But Irma, you're absolutely fantastic. Thank you for enjoying and Luke St. Martin and Eric, thank you. Best moderators ever. Irma, you're fantastic. You're absolutely wonderful. It's just the like one or two emojis, fantastic, you know. But I actually like. It's actually really wonderful to see like all like the million emojis. But like, YouTube sometimes, I don't know. The algorithm is so you can't. Who knows what's going on with the algorithm, honestly. So. But thank you, Irma. Thank you, everybody. Apoplectic Lefty. David, hello. So they have to, the civilian climate core should happen, like God forbid the day of a market crash. They should unveil that. That'll help things. That'll help things a lot. This is the thing. They're obsessed. Like, this is what they care about. Video shows unruly passengers growling, screaming Joe Biden on American airline. It's like, okay, why? This is not as, like, that's not as important as Americans being left behind. We have Americans left behind. Mark Smith! Mark Smith, thank you. Mark Smith, thank you. Allie, hello. Mark Smith, thank you so very much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. There's so many. Mark Smith, thank you so very much. There's so many issues that could take place. Like, there are so many pitfalls that could take place. You have, if you have DeSantis and Trump, Smith, thank you so very much to my Canadian viewers. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Indy Wood, as always, thank you. Thank you, Indy. I actually really look forward to the vice presidential debate 3 years from now. That'll be really interesting. That will be really, really interesting. Thing without like this big problem like you, Indy. Mark, thank you. So Holyfield versus Belfort, and then Trump, and I think Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump are going to be offering commentary. So, or Donald Trump Jr. and Trump. So, what is so wrong about that? Oh, okay, September 11th, fine. Literally the single most Donald Trump thing Donald Trump has ever done. Who cares? Like, Trump is at heart a showman and a provocateur. Here's another... Okay. There's no such thing as a provocateur. The only people you provoke are apoplectic lefties that completely break down and melt down whenever they hear something or see something they don't like. You're only provoking people who find it a provocation. You're only provoking the same people who find everything they dislike a provocation. It's never just, oh, okay. It's, oh my God, outrage, outrage. Provocateur. He likes to create controversy. Where's the controversy in him doing a play-by-play of a fight? Where's the controversy in that? Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump, 100% likely to run in 2024. So, let's see here. And then he's like, this is like, I'm not going to even bring up the journalist's name, but like, thinks too harsh. He repeatedly, as president and before elected, demonstrated that he's simply unable to identify with or care about other people's problems. No, that's not true at all. There's numerous examples where he intervened for a very just cause. You can look at, there's a whole bunch of examples. There are a whole bunch of examples. When a very monstrous bureaucracy, I won't get into it, but there's a whole bunch of examples. Plus, he signed prison reform legislation. So, he signed prison reform legislation. He promoted economic opportunity zones. He allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities, made the funding permanent than any president ever. He negotiated the Doha Agreement, which was supposed to, like, if implemented correctly, would have... No, the emojis are fine. And I think it was wonderful... that one of the viewers, I think that she is wonderful. One of the viewers who were using a lot of emojis, fantastic. But like one or two, I think maybe YouTube sometimes like makes a big deal out of a bunch. So on the super chat, it's fine. But but that's CNN. Leave it to CNN, you know. Let's see. Biden's approval rating down in 6 critical swing states. So, I mean, look, you have... They already know what's going on, and the fact that they're so petrified of Trump, they care more about Trump coming back than actually bringing home, making sure that Americans come back from Afghanistan. That's what motivates them. Just fear of Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you so very much. Everyone here, David, Irma, everybody here, Luke, Eric, Indy, Wood, Mark, Apoplectic, everybody here, thank you so much. To my super chat, thank you. Nicoletta, thank you. Everybody here, thank you. I will, let's see, I'm not sure if I'll take a break and do another live stream. I might do an upload. So I might do an upload before midnight. So stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to my super chat. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow, everyone. Be here tomorrow at around 3 p.m. I will have another live stream at around 3 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.